Hello, everyone. This is Jerry O'Donnell doing this video on forerunners. And, there's a lot in the Old Testament as well as the New on people who were forerunners and their importance. And I was getting revelation today from the Lord that when the changes that we're anticipating come, a lot of things that were the old will perish and fade away, and behold, all things will be made new. And I was thinking on these things, and I was thinking about Moses, that when all the children of Israel came into the wilderness where Moses had been for 40 years, he was a forerunner because he was already there 40 years. And every single time they had to eat different food. Did you ever notice that? Like when they were in Egypt, they ate one type of food. When they came out, they ate manna. And manna means, what is it? And it was a wonder. But when Joshua and Caleb went over into the promised land, do you realize that those two were forerunners? And they ate the promissory grapes. They were the spies that went in and got the good report. And they ate that way before, 40 years before the children of Israel, as far as those that were 20 years and younger, like it's speaking of a younger generation. In our day, it would be like saying the Generation Z and the Generation Alpha. And they went in and followed Joshua and Caleb and the Ark of God into the promised land, and they conquered the 42 kings that were possessing that land at the time, and God little by little drove them out. But John the Baptist, he was a forerunner too. And there was a great change going from the Old Testament to the New Testament. In John, there hadn't been a prophet for over 400 years. And here it is, John the Baptist, pops up. And he ate locusts and wild honey. And he wore a coat, a camel skin coat. And he was a rough guy out there in the Jordan, in the wilderness, crying in the wilderness. But the point is he ate different food than his father, who was in the synagogue. And I was contemplating all that. We're going to have, I know it sounds funny, but we're going to have different, it's going to be required of the remnant to eat different food. Remember Elijah, he had to eat meat and bread from ravens when God hid him in Mount Carmel. The set apart ones, David was one of them. David wrote in the Psalms that God sets apart those that are godly for himself, and he will hear when we call unto him. Well, it just means that we got a closer ear to the Lord. The Lord listens in on our conversations. And it's like, sometimes it's pretty obvious he's that close. But anyway, I perceive that just like it was required for the children of Israel, when they crossed over the Jordan, they no longer ate the manna. It was over, man. The clothes didn't wear out, the water came out of the rock. This all terminated at the Jordan when they crossed over. And did you ever notice it was 2,000 cubits by measure? Joshua, and the banks, get this one, the banks overflowed the river banks all the days of harvest. Okay, so that was a demarcation line. Well, we're 2,000 cubits away from the next manifestation of the ark of his presence, and another land flowing with milk and honey. You ever notice, like yesterday was Rosh Hashanah, And probably right now it is Rosh Hashanah and in another time zone in Israel. But the whole point is, one of the things that they did in Rosh Hashanah was eat honey, you know, and I just think of Jonathan dipping his sword in the honey, and his eyes were enlightened. And have you ever had God enlighten your eyes, your insight, your prophetic insight? Have you ever had God do that to your eyes? With the eyes of your understanding, be enlightened. It's a great thing, right? But there's a great responsibility for any revelation that God gives you. And anyway, I just thought, to expound these things. And then the other thing is whatever you eat. Remember Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Before they got thrown in that furnace, made one 7 times hotter, what did they do? What made them any different than anybody else? They did not burn. The smoke did not kindle on their clothes or singe their hair. What made them different, right? And of course, we know that there was a fourth man in the fire, and his appearance was like Nebuchadnezzar said that the appearance was like one of the Son of God. But before they got thrown in there, they ate a different food. Okay, they ate pos, which was vegetables grounded up, and they did not eat off the king's table. The meat, they did not eat it, and therefore it gave them strength to endure and to go through. And remember what their statement was? They said, about him throwing them in the fire, that the God that we serve is well able to deliver us. But get this, but if he doesn't deliver us, we still are not going to bow down. We got a remnant globally that are like that. They will not bow down to the other gods of the land. I don't care what they do. You know what I mean? They'll love not their life unto death, but they're not going to bow down. Give me a break, right? So anyway, I just thought I'd share that. It's a great day, and there's going to be, and I just had a capper on this. There's going to be meetings. There's going to be meetings all over New Zealand. Divine meetings are going to happen. They're going to be spontaneous, and they're not going to be your typical church meetings. And the beginning stages of these, I call it Camp David, because do you know what Camp David really is? It's a place in Maryland where the president usually goes if he's contemplating a war strategy. They go to Camp David. And God is sharing with me, there was a Camp David in Israel. I don't know if you know. There was a Camp David recently in Israel to strategize. What are they going to do after? And this is post Hamas and going into Gaza and Rafah, right? But they had to, go into Lebanon and go in on a ground campaign and then an assault in Iran. So what did he do? They had a Camp David, right? And even the anti-ballistic systems, what is it? It's you got places, irons, you got David Sling, and you got Iron Dome, and all these things to shoot the missiles out of the sky. In the spirit, the kingdom of God, the apostles and prophets, they ought to be strong enough in the spirit to do these things spiritually speaking. The arrows that fly by day kind of deal, anyway, I just thought I'd bring that up about Camp David at the end of this video, because there's going to be meetings, and I perceive, and I'm going to diligently perceive and commune with a few people about having a meeting in Oakland and having a meeting in Tauranga, okay? And I've been invited to go to the United States again, and it's a powerful thing, but I'm waiting on the timing of the Lord and to see what the Lord might do. But until next time, I just thank you for tuning in, and give me chatter. Text me what your gut feeling is on the matter. And I just appreciate you tuning in Jesus' mighty name. Bye for now.